All right, Monday night, August 11, 2014. You know what that means if we're on right about now. It's time for a new edition of the RCWR Show. Your host right here, Black Avenger, a.k.a. the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. Thank you all so much for checking us out. As always on Monday nights, we're joined by our broadcast partner. You may be familiar with his work from such promotions as Vendetta Pro Wrestling, Primo's Wrestling. He was also one of the finalists in the online Gut Check competition by TNA Wrestling. It's my good pal, the wrestling manager extraordinaire, the evil genius, Titus Machiavelli. Titus, how you doing, man?
What is going on, Lee? I'm all right. About 80% tonight, which, of course, my 80% is the average person's 175%, so I'm in good shape.
Well, I'm not going to lie to our audience. I'm off tonight. I'm like, we got to get this out the way right now because I want it to be on a happy note. But I'm down right now. Those of you that checked out our video earlier tonight, unfortunately, we found out about the tragic news of legendary actor and comedian Robin Williams. He is dead at the age of 63. They're saying it's an apparent suicide, but right now it's still in the early phases, early investigation. If you guys missed it, if you get done with this, just go check out what I had to say about it. It's about less than 20 minutes long. I'm definitely off my game tonight, so much so I really can't remember what came about from Raw tonight. So Titus is actually going to be taking the lead on this one for a majority of the show, folks. I'm just going to chime in here and there if my memory is jogged on something. But one thing that I do want to get out the way, and it does not cost $9.99. It's actually free, all right? Do us a huge favor. Share this episode a number of ways by retweeting it, Facebooking it, Google Plusing it. And if you missed all that, well, don't worry. We'll say it again throughout the course of the night. Get those comments down below. Let us know what you had thought about tonight's WWE Raw, as we're going to be talking Fallout, and we're also going to be previewing 4 major matches that's going to be coming about from SummerSlam in a part 1 of 2 series of our Call That Match edition. Part 2 will conclude on our Tuesday night radio edition of the RCWR Show. We'll give you the details on that. Titus, as we get ready to talk about WWE Raw, one thing I got to pick your brain on, man, and I got to just push this on out the way so we can just talk about Raw and SummerSlam afterwards. Biggest thing that came out of WWE last week, it is something that's still talked about as we speak right now, and that is the release of WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. A lot of people were under the impression that this was some type of a work for the simple fact I didn't address him by his real name. They didn't say Alberto. They're just trying to put one over it was a conspiracy theories. This is what WWE is trying to do with Alberto Del Rio, but you know, we kept just seeing the stone cold facts. WWE, Titus, they removed Alberto Del Rio from the current roster. They put him in the alumni section. You go to his shop section. At first, he was in the current active roster, but then eventually he was moved to the alumni section. I believe that happened like a day or two later. You go look at his shop. There's only like 3 items that's there right now, and it's pretty old. It goes back to last year. All right, so merchandise not really pushing like that. We learned that Conan, who was a former WWE, WCW, TNA star, he revealed to a certain extent that he did talk to Alberto Del Rio and confirmed that this is legit. He really did get fired by the WWE. Rob Feinstein of RF Video, he said that from what he was able to gather, and this is something that has since been confirmed by various wrestling websites right along with Conan, that indeed, in fact, Alberto Del Rio had some type of a altercation with somebody of WWE staff that worked social media. Some type of a racial slur was used, and when you hear race in WWE, much as I don't like to admit it, Titus, there's definitely a problem with race that is going on there in the WWE. Long story short, folks, Alberto Del Rio was thrown something racially discriminating. He went up to this person, I guess looking for an apology or whatever, didn't get it, and he pretty much did probably what any person might do. I'm not saying everybody, but anybody might do if you have a hot temper, and bitch smack somebody, all right? And he's been released. We're now getting word, Titus, that possibly this guy that set this up in the first place, he's probably going to be looking for a new job shortly. Everybody's chimed in on this. We polled people, Titus. I don't know if you took a look at the comments, but everybody's like, good riddance, glad that Del Boring Rio is gone. I expected that. I was more surprised at the fact of the number of people that stepped up and said, you know, this is a bad hand that Del Rio was dealt, because, you know, say what you will, he was a good hand. He was a good technical wrestler. It shouldn't have ended like this. His contract should have just expired and they parted ways. A lot of people, they aren't too happy that this move had came about. Conan is crying racism, saying, okay, so look, WWE got rid of Ricardo Rodriguez. They couldn't work things out with him. Now you get rid of Alberto Del Rio. You're keeping an iron claw on Rey Mysterio. You're not releasing him from his contract. Conan is basically crying slavery at its finest in the WWE. Titus, run with it as long as you want, buddy, because I've exhausted this over the weekend. What's your thoughts when you hear all this?
Well, I don't give a rat's ass what Conan has to say. Conan is about one thing, and that's straight up. Conan is about Conan and what he wants to push in his agenda. At this point, it's racism. A couple of years ago, it was a union. Whatever he had to say is, I don't care. Here's my straight skinny on the whole thing. All right. First off, Ricardo Rodriguez requested his release. Mm-hmm. He wasn't fired. He wasn't kicked. He requested his release. Okay. Rey Mysterio has, for the better part of 2 to 3 years, spent most of his contracted time, in which he was a paid star, he has some money, he comes into him, on the shelf. Contractually, they have the option to allegedly retro back those days and put him on the front end of the contract. He has a problem with that. He should hire a new lawyer, okay, to help his contracting. When it comes to Alberto Del Rio, he should have had his ass fired. End of story. You cannot, in any way, shape, or form, hit another employee of the company you work for any reason. There's no reason that allows you to do that. If that's the case, then I'd be bitch slapping people all day long what I do, because I ain't happy with nobody. You cannot strike somebody. Regardless of what they say, you can't do it. It's a simple thing. For all you are listening, go to your job tomorrow, hit someone across the face, and tell us, next week what happened. Every last single one of you who do that get fired. It's just the way it is. All right? Alberto Del Rio is a good hand. He's a good worker in the ring. He's somebody who can deliver a solid match, who can take somebody who is not a great worker and make them better. He's the kind of worker that Stone Cold Steve Austin was for so many years. Just that solid guy who could go in, work a match, get her done. Charisma? No. He wasn't a great charismatic superstar. He wasn't one of those guys that were larger than life. He was a upper mid-card, lower main event star. But he was somebody who could deliver night in and night out. Should it have ended differently? Yes. But there's only one person to blame for this. It's not WWE. It's Alberto. Tempers are tempers. I get it. You need to walk away. If this social media guy, and whether the comment was intended to be racist or not intended to be racist, let's be honest. Racial tensions are at an all-time since the 60s, now is at an all-time high. Everything is perceived to be either racist or perceived to be hateful or perceived to be this, that, the other thing. Sometimes it's just a thing. So maybe this guy was, maybe he wasn't. You and I, none of us know what was in his heart when he said what he said. All right? But let's just say, for argument's sake, what he said was a racist comment. Well, first off, he's an idiot, and he needs to be fired. So his situation is probably a little bit different because he's not talent. See, Alberto's talent. He's contractually a different sort of employee. And I'm sure in that contract that he had with WWE was a clause in which he had to act a certain way. You look at your sports stars, your baseball, football, basketball, they've got that morality clause in there. That get out of free card that the ownership can use whenever they want to use it when you do something immoral that makes the team look bad. Same deal. A regular employee, that's different. That's like you and me at our jobs, and we have to go through human resources and all those different things. I would expect if he did what he did, he'll end up being fired as well. But Alberto has to take the blame on this because he hit somebody. You can't do it, Lee. It's just not doable. You know it as well as I do. I mean, you go to your job. What would happen? You know, you lose your job. So it's a sad ending to a sad finale of his career at WWE. A lot of rumors are that he's going to be at AAA's pay-per-view this coming Sunday. I would really be surprised to see that because it's no surprise he's got a 90-day non-compete. So he shows up on AAA's pay-per-view this coming Sunday out of spite, out of anger, whatever it may be. He's going to get his ass in a suit next for contractually breaking his deal there. So, you know, take the cool side, relax, Alberto. You got TNA is all dead. They'd love to talk to you. Not that that would be a good idea. Go to going to be 90 days. Don't get into a pissing contest with the WWE because you're going to lose in this pissing contest. You had a contract. You have a deal. You have a 90-day non-compete. That's the way it works. So don't show up on AAA. Not this Sunday. Wait 90 days. Get out there. Have a big debut. Have a great career at AAA. Make some money. Entertain the fans and move past this situation. But is it racism? Are we firing people just because they, you know? It's hard for me to swallow. I know the stories. I know the accusations. I know all that.
Right.
But there's also, if you just take all the emotion out of it, Ricardo Rodriguez asked for his release. Why? Because he wasn't getting used as a wrestler. He wanted to be a wrestler, not a commentator. He does not fit the physical standards of what a WWE superstar looks like. He just doesn't.
Right.
It's not, whether it's right or wrong, that's not the argument. They weren't going to use him that way. He recognized it. He wanted to go his own way. Rey Mysterio, I got nothing there. Contracts are contracts. If he has he sits on the shelf, they can use those in the front after losing him on the back end. They're paying for those days. They should have the right to use those, and it's in his contract. So it's not slavery. He's getting paid. He's getting, he has a payday he can make out of this. It's not slavery. We got to throw this word slavery around, but ain't no one getting whipped. Ain't no one getting beaten. Ain't no one being, treated like a slave. You want to be treated like a slave, man? I'll show you. I'll get you books, Conan, and I'll show you what that looks like. Because Ray's going to be making money, and Ray's made good money over his career in WWE. Let's be real here. His family's taken very good care of. He's going to get paid. He's going to sell merchandise, and then he fulfills the dates that he has on his contract. Then he's out of there. Then he can go to AAA and right into the sunset. Nothing wrong with that. Just got to fulfill your contract. When I left California a year ago, I had a certain number of bookings, and I'm not contracted talent. I'm an independent wrestling manager. I can do what I want when I want. But I made commitments and bookings. I finished those bookings, and then I made my move. That's doing it the right way. These guys are under contract. They have to fulfill their contract. So I don't have much sympathy for Rey Mysterio because, let's be real, he's getting paid. It's not slavery, Conan. Sorry to argue that point with you.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that 100%. We're gonna know what really had came about with this whole Del Rio situation. Honestly, folks, when he sits down with RF Video, kayfabe commentaries, high spots, that's when the truth is gonna really be able
But
to
it's
come
also going
out.
to be his point of view, and you and I both know
Yeah,
there's always three sides to it:
yeah,
yours, mine, and the truth.
yeah.
It's always perception, and I'm not saying he's going to lie. I'm going to say his perception is his own, and the guy who's there has his own perception, and somewhere in the middle is what really happened. And you, me, and everybody else, we weren't there. We're never gonna know. We can surmise, we can assume, we can put two and two together and try to get close to four as possible,
All
but we're
right.
never gonna know. So I look forward to hearing what he has to say, but remember, with a grain of salt because he is just going with his own personal perception of what happened at that moment.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and at the moment, I've been in that situation. Most of us have been in a situation where you're like, oh man, I'm going to punch this dude. He's pushed every button on purpose, but that's the difference between a civil society and an unrest society. If everybody has the right to smack people around when they're not happy, well, man, how was your day at work today, Lee? Would you want to go slap somebody? Because I know I could. I know two guys right now I could slap right now if that was the rule.
No, but I tell you this much. Last Thursday, I was going around the office saying, "Hey, hey! According to a major wrestling promotion, today is put your boss through a table day." you know. I
Now
mean,
that could be considered in this day and age a threat against your boss, and you have to go through sensitivity training. And
uh-huh.
this is the problem we are at in 2014.
Yeah.
But that's another program altogether. Tonight we had Monday Night Raw. It's the go home episode before SummerSlam, and then for those who don't understand what that means, is go home is a wrestling term meaning to close out. It means to go home, go to the finish, be done. This is the go home episode, the last Monday Night Raw prior, excuse me, prior to SummerSlam this coming Sunday. Not a great Raw, but not a bad one either. We had still a lot of 9.99s out there, but not as many as we had. Last week was absurd with the number of 9.99s. This week we had them. The best one, the award for the 9.99 award goes to Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose actually, I thought, gave a great little promo there that was how I would use that 9.99. How did he put it there, Lee? He said he's gonna beat up. Long story. I'm gonna beat Seth Rollins' ass, and the WWE Network costs $9.99 a month. I'm gonna get my money's worth.
Yeah.
That was cleverly done. It was done in a way that I thought was telling you the price, pushing the product, but not shilling. There's a difference between being a shill and a promoter. And JBL has been shilling. Jerry Lawler's been shilling. Michael Cole's a shill and a half. But Dean Ambrose, he gave a nice little promo there. Now, was he mocking or was he pitching? That's the point. Don't know. That's the honorable mention. Our show opened tonight with the Beast incarnate himself, Brock Lesnar, who we did not see last week, I do not believe. I think he was not there last week. It was just Paul Heyman. He and Heyman came out. And I got to say, Paul Heyman, and yes, I am a bias towards the wrestling manager, but Paul Heyman delivered one of the absolute best promos of the year 2014. And if we have a end of the year award program and it was best promo, I got to say it was Paul Heyman tonight. It pushed the storyline. It was in depth. It was funny. It was entertaining. It was well played out. He doesn't miss a beat. I love Zeb Coulter, but Zeb always has a little bit of a flub here and there. Just a little trip over his words. Paul Heyman is a machine. He doesn't make a mistake. And I loved his promo tonight. And I got to say, Brock Lesnar has one of the best jobs in the whole world. He comes out, he does his little dance, he wears his little show up, arrive, conquer, Paul Heyman does all the talking. He just looks like a badass, smirks, walks out, collects a paycheck. What a freaking job this guy's got. I got to tell you what. Dana White, I wouldn't even answer Dana White's phone calls. Come back to the octagon, and get into a fight. Hell with that. I show up, I get a paycheck. Paul does all the work. Great job, great gig for Brock Lesnar. But the end of it was, Brock is a badass. He's going to destroy John Cena. John Cena fans need to turn in to the show, see John Cena be destroyed the way that The Undertaker was destroyed. Of course, we got to make sure we get The Undertaker plug in there. It was a good opening segment. Brought in some real strength to this main event. Didn't have the Authority opening the show up. Spoiler alert, Triple H was not on the show tonight. That was a nice thing. So that was our opening. Yes, sir.
Hey, Titus, I want to just jump in real quick to L.A. and D.C., who had this to say to you directly, Titus. Basically, I'm going to dress it up a little bit. You don't know a damn thing about Ricardo Rodriguez and his release. And, Titus, I'm actually going to jump in right here, and correct me if I'm wrong. Ricardo Rodriguez had released a statement via Twitter which said to the WWE, "Thank you for 4 great years, but I wish to wrestle." Now, I don't know about you, but just hearing the way that was phrased, that says to me that some type of a common ground could not be found between he and the WWE, and therefore they parted from one another. We can definitely be in agreement, Titus, and correct me if I'm wrong. He wasn't fired, and
no.
Yeah, guys, if you really want to go, I don't like doing this, but I actually happen to know somebody that is friends with Ricardo Rodriguez, and as soon as the news had came about, I actually contacted them, and I had said to them, look, just tell me, you can remain anonymous, but just tell me, did he get fired, and they told me no, he wanted to wrestle more, and he asked for his release. That was it. So to that person that, calm down, wasabi, all right? Continue, Titus.
Well, I know you're right. I don't know the situation, and I think I always say there's 3 sides to everything. I don't know that.
Yeah.
But I like you, can make 3 phone calls.
See, there you go.
One of those 3 phone calls. I don't know Ricardo personally, but I worked for companies that he worked for, because remember, on the independent scene, it's a small society of people. I've worked in those promotions. I can make 1 of 3 phone calls right now and get you an answer on exactly. Was it, they wished him luck in his future endeavors. They didn't, Alberto. They threw him out there.
Yeah.
They didn't wish him luck in his future endeavors. But that's exactly what I was saying. He wanted to wrestle. Nothing wrong with that. They didn't want him to wrestle for them. Couldn't find common ground. Hey, you know what? Let me have my contract. They're tight for budget constraints. They jumped on it. Why wouldn't they?
Right. Continue on, brother.
Besides, you have a great 2-man Spanish announce team. You don't need a 3-man Spanish announce team.
Mm-hmm.
We had the return of Corporate Kane tonight. This Kane situation is a joke in my mind. I mean, first he's a monster, then he's not much of a monster. Now he's Corporate Kane. He was corporate. I mean, it's like they don't know what to do with Kane. They're just letting him hang on and collecting a check until they can, either let him do whatever he's going to do. I don't know. It's bizarre. So Corporate Kane is back. We have our opening contest is Roman Reigns. This is all set up by Kane, taking on Ryback in a handicap match, which was kind of funny. A lot of tweets tonight talking about it. Was just a little over a year ago. It was Ryback in all of the handicap matches and how he just blew through everybody, and now he is so easily beaten and put aside. Roman Reigns delivered a good match, not a great promo. I think that they need to stick with a little bit more. I mean, it was short and it just wasn't a great promo. Wasn't horrible. I've seen worse. but it wasn't a great post-match promo. But it was a good match, and continue that storyline with him being as dominant as he is. And then we had our matchup that we didn't get last week with Seth Rollins and RVD. Boy, you know, a lot of people were commenting that RVD looked really bad in this match, and I gotta say, I didn't see anything that was terrible in the match, other than it was a quote-unquote typical Rob Van Dam matchup. I don't know whether it's I don't know whether he's going through the motions, whether it was, you know, but a lot of comments I saw on that tonight about RVD. Decent match, nothing spectacular. Seth Rollins gets the victory on that. As he's leaving, he's inspecting the stage is covered with presents for Hulk Hogan's birthday celebration. It is a giant one there, and he's starting to check it out, thinking that, you know, Dean Ambrose is there, and then he realizes he's being silly, and of course, then that's when Dean Ambrose jumps out of the box and attacks him. Love that they've really pushed this pretty well. The only negative to this for SummerSlam is the lumberjack portion of it. I thoroughly disagree with making a lumberjack match. My comments on Twitter earlier over the weekend, I think the problem with the lumberjack match is that it puts all these stars around the ring and kind of takes the focus away from the two guys in the ring. And we should be watching these two guys in the ring and not be distracted by the lumberjacks out there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I knew that there was going to be some type of a stipulation added to this match, and I mean, just from the creative standpoint, when I heard that it was going to be a lumberjack match, guys, I'm saying to myself, WTF, really? It's like Ambrose, and correct me if I'm wrong, Titus, but it was Dean Ambrose Rollins.
A little bit of a delay. What was that you said?
I said, who would like to choose the stipulation for this match? Can you hear me?
It was Dean Ambrose, yeah. Yep.
It was Dean Ambrose. Okay, so, all right, so this doesn't make sense to me because it's like, okay, of all the stipulations you can choose in the world, why not have a stipulation match where the Money in the Bank briefcase is on the line? You know what I'm saying? Even if you wanted to try to come up with a weird loophole so that Seth Rollins could continue to hang on to that briefcase and Dean Ambrose would have to.
You could have had Dean Ambrose win the match. Yeah, you could have had Dean Ambrose win the match by disqualification, and then say, "Well, typical rules are that titles don't change hands on a disqualification, and neither do Money in the Bank briefcases." But beyond that, take the Money in the Bank out, because that makes the most sense in my mind. I think most fans would say that. You could have done, a last man standing match. You could have done a false count anywhere match. You could have done, this is bad blood between two, brothers, and this the fallout. Why wouldn't you have that sort of, I'm going to beat you all over the arena? We're going to have a false count anywhere match. The lumberjack match is, I'm sorry, it's played out. It's old school. I've never been a big fan of the lumberjack match, but in this situation, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of good options that could have gone with.
Yes.
The segment that followed is probably the most bashed segment of the last few months. It was Stephanie's quote-unquote confession. The confession ends up being Daniel Bryan's physical therapist, Megan, is having an affair with Daniel Bryan. Brie comes out. I think the best part of the segment was Stephanie in a very sexual sort of voice saying, yes. It was a throwback in my mind of a little bit of an Attitude Era type of a segment. You had, promiscuity and sex and a little bit of of that voluptuous voice. It was a throwback to the Attitude Era in some ways, but it got bashed all over the Twitterverse tonight as the worst segment, and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't the worst segment. Wasn't spectacular, but it definitely was okay. What ended up happening later on is these two were going to have a match for Get SummerSlam, and of course Stephanie flipped the script and didn't have that, and ended up having Brie arrested because Megan, the woman in question, was assaulted by Brie, and of course pressed charges. So Brie is arrested and taken to jail. Of course, you have the obligatory Claire Lynch tweets, and WWE.
I really did think that was Claire Lynch, by the way.
I tell you, just for a second. Now that would have been, if you're gonna do it, you might as well get the same actress, right?
Right.
This is Claire Flinch or something, and play off on it. But you know, I had some people telling me, oh, they stole it from. You know, this is TNA did not invent the he having an affair angle. It's been going on in wrestling for 20 some odd years, as far as I can tell you. It's not an original idea, and let's be real. Wrestling is, you'll see this from almost any of the, top people in this business, whether it be Coronet or whatever. Wrestling's a big ripoff, idea-wise, for the most part. I mean, the NWO, one of the most signature pieces in the last 20 years of professional wrestling that started the Monday Night Wars, was a big rip from Japan. That's what this business is. So just because they're doing an angle that was like Claire Lynch 2 years ago, which was like the Undertaker angle 5 years before that, which was like I think the big issue is that Daniel Bryan is a very popular star amongst the internet, and it doesn't paint him in a very positive light to be having an affair on Brie. But in the end, that it's going to come out to be not true, and he's going to be the hero, and he's going to look okay, and just take the story for what it is.
Exactly. I want to take a brief pause to welcome those of you that's checking us out right now. As Titus is recapping Fallout from Raw, I'm actually kicking back and I'm looking at a lot of the comments that you all are saying. We have some very passionate and very vocal people tonight, and I love that as always. But
I love it.
I love it too, but I want for there to be a theme going on here tonight. Now, those of you that really do not comment on our pieces like that, you're going to find that you've been blacklisted. And the reason why you've been blacklisted, give respect, get respect back. I can't stress that enough. It's okay if you disagree with some of the things that we have to say, but the line is drawn. Look, we're adults. We're grown men over here. We have families of our own and all that. What we're doing here for you guys every single week, we could be off doing something else because there's really no money to be made from this. We do this for you guys weekly because we love wrestling. We love to talk about it. Definitely Titus. The man works in the industry, okay? So you can't say he doesn't love the business. If you don't like some of the things that we have to say, there's no problem disagreeing with us, so as long as you show us the proper respect and you basically, what's the right word I'm looking for, you disagree with us in a respectful manner, and you let us know why you're disagreeing. When you start doing the name calling and all that other little silly crap, we just don't have a tolerance for that here on our channel. So the main theme I want you all to have tonight going forward: give respect, get respect back, treat others how you want to be treated. If you want to be treated right like crap, then that's what's going to happen to you. All right?
I'm very good at that myself.
Yeah.
I want people to understand. I want you to disagree with me, because if we all agreed on everything that's said here, then we don't need to be here. We can just hang up the phone now and move on because we all agree on it anyways. Yeah. I want your input. I want your topical disagreements and discussion. That's what's great about this. I am an industry insider. I do work in this business. I have taken bumps in the ring. I have taken blades and bladed my head and bled on the wrestling ring. You want pictures? TitusMachiavelli.com. You can see what I do. I am part of this. Now, am I in WWE? No. So I can only speculate on that aspect. But if you don't agree with me, gosh, please tell me that you don't agree. Give me your personal point. Hey, you know what? I might even go, you know what? You're right. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. It happens. 96.7% of the time I'm correct, but it happens once in a while.
You see, our community, from what I've been able to see these past couple of years, they're usually very good. They're smart. They're funny. They're very insightful. They're very laid back, just like us. But, you know, from time to time I see I cleaned it up now, but we had like a couple of knuckleheads that, like, I've never even seen their names before. And it was just, why so negative? Just don't be a lemon, be a rosebud. Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud. And speaking of which, where the hell was he tonight? He's like been gone the past couple of weeks.
Well, last week he saw himself in the mirror. I think that was pushing,
Hey, he realized he was so ugly, he vanished in the thin air, huh?
Apparently. He looked in the mirror and saw Vince McMahon not liking his gimmick, allegedly. One of the big surprises of the night, we had the match with Cesaro and Jack Swagger. The script got flipped here. You got Cesaro, his entrance came during the commercial break. Swagger gets the entrance on the program. It was just a couple of months ago. It was the other way around. So it's amazing how things can change. Swagger in a pretty good match with Cesaro. I think Swagger looked pretty good. I mean, he looked good like he was prior to his incident where he was it a DUI a couple years ago? Something of that nature. He was at the top of his game at that point. I think he got derailed after all of that. He looked really good tonight. Sold really well. Had a good match. Folks, I saw a lot of people upset. Why did Cesaro lose? Let's be real. If Cesaro beats Jack Swagger, then of course Rusev can beat Jack Swagger. So what's the point of having the match at SummerSlam? Let's be real here. Jack Swagger has to beat Cesaro, otherwise the match Sunday is worthless. But it was a good match, and Cesaro, the guy's a workhorse. The loss of Alberto Del Rio, I think, can be a real positive for Cesaro, because Cesaro is that workhorse, that steady hand that can fill that gaping hole that was left by Del Rio and what he does in the ring. Cesaro could actually benefit quite a bit from this change at WWE, but only time will tell. We had a really kind of this is like an old school sort of promo with face-to-face with Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho.
Oh, Jericho, I did see that, yeah.
Jericho sporting the 2008 Jericho lemon face. And Bray had, again, put a microphone in front of Bray Wyatt and captivating television for 5 minutes. His promo was there's so much depth to the character. And I think that's both ingenious and damaging. And I mean that in this way. It is so captivating that you want to watch and see what happens. It's like a really good book. It's so in depth and so big you just can't put it down. But you look at it, it's 1,000 pages. I really don't have time for a 1,000-page book. I just need the cliff notes, and that's the downside, is that sometimes people don't have the attention span to. We got a few of the whats in there tonight, not a lot, but a couple. There's so much depth to the Bray Wyatt character. And he knows the character so well, and it's just scary good. and the promo was great. Jericho, the only thing Jericho didn't do tonight, which would have been, great, would have been to call him a hypocrite the way he did back in 2008, because he had this whole 2008 look going, you hypocrites.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't see that, but good story. Pushed the storyline for this Sunday very, very well. I really enjoyed it. The dog of the... Go ahead.
Hey, was I the only one that was looking at Chris Jericho as he was talking? Was I the only one that was like looking for him to just have a microphone all of a sudden and say, "Let me explain to you what I'm gonna do," like he used to do it when he was pushing that look?
He had the hair, it was over moosed. He had the little bit of stubble going on.
Yeah,
and he had that
challenge Nick Bockwinkel there.
Oh yeah. I always related to the that era of Jericho as the lemon Jericho, because he looked like he sucked on a lemon, and his face gets really tight, and his eyes get squinty, and his mouth gets small and all crinkled up, and he sucked on a lemon. But good segment. I really enjoyed it. It pushed the storyline very, very well. I expect these two to just their match last month at Battleground was good, not great, not bad, just middle of the road. I think they've got a chance to have really succinct themselves to one another. I expect this to be one of those top match of the night sort of matches, because it's two very good wrestling hands, an up-and-comer who's got a whole life in front of him, and Jericho, who is a Hall of Famer and is on the back end of the career, and that's a good recipe for the guy who wants to prove he still has it, and the young guy who wants to prove he's got it, and the two of them together could make a really nice match. So excited about that. The dog of the night is just what the hell was Eva Marie doing in the match tonight with AJ? It was like no other diva showed up tonight. So who do we got to go against AJ? It's Eva Marie's here. Let's use her. Really, just it just furthered the feud between her and Paige. Paige comes out skipping around. AJ's distracted, and woohoo! Eva Marie learned to move. She did a little roll up and got a pinfall victory over AJ. Eva Marie is terrible. I mean, her selling afterwards was pathetic. It's terrible. But take that out. The AJ Paige storyline gets pushed along pretty well. We're seeing a nastier and nastier Paige. And I said that weeks and weeks ago that I wasn't buying the goody-goody, sweet little face Paige. I wanted something a little bit nasty. I wanted something believable, and we have it. And I like the way she's going right now, and I think the two of them are going to put on a pretty good match at SummerSlam.
Put you on the spot. If you had to choose now between Cameron and Eva Marie, which one you keeping?
What are my my basics? My bases here. Is it wrestling talent? Is it
as wrestling talent? As wrestling talent.
Wrestling talent. I keep Cameron.
Ooh, explain why.
Wrestling talent. I keep. I think that she moves. The thing that's interesting about Cameron is it's how you work the ropes, and that really tells a lot about the kind of wrestler you're going to be. You get some of these old school guys who will, at a tryout, tell you, run the ropes for me. And based on that, whether you get to continue the tryout, some guys get told, thanks a lot. It's how you work the ropes. Cameron, not that she works the ropes very well, she shows that she kind of has it in her head, hasn't put it all together. Eva Marie just like she's like there because I don't know why she's there.
Hmm.
They were looking for somebody for Total Divas and said, well, let's make her a wrestler. She fits the part. Or she tried out for the show. I don't know. Now, flip the overall top to bottom, I think that Eva Marie might edge out Cameron overall. I think Eva Marie brings a little bit more character than Cameron does. Which may give her just a little bit of a. If I had to pick one to stay and go, I probably would keep Eva Marie over Cameron, but not because she's a better wrestler, just because there's more character that can be worked with. Right. I dump the wrestling Eva Marie. I make her a valet. That's what I would do. I mean, she can take a bump if necessary. She can work to run the ring, but she's not a wrestler. Neither is Cameron.
We rubbed elbows with her a couple of years ago in a bad way, but I'm still a fan of her work. If they want a redhead, they should get rid of Eva Marie, and they should actually bring on board Taylor Hendricks. I don't know if you're familiar with her work, but I've been waiting for her to move up to WWE for the longest.
Yeah, Taylor Hicks, a gut check challenge participant, and Taylor, absolutely. The thing that frustrates me is you got a match tonight with Eva Marie thrown in there, or whether it be a Cameron. You could endeavor both of those, and you've got Charlotte and you've got Sasha Banks sitting down in NXT right now. I think you ought to bring Charlotte and Sasha up, package them with Summer Rae and have the BFFs here in WWE. I think that would be. I think that could be something that could be worked really well. But maybe they're just not ready to bring them up yet. But having Cameron and Eva Marie on the roster and those two waiting in the wings. I know that Charlotte's still very, very green. She's only got a couple of years under her belt, but the same argument can be said about either one of Cameron or Eva Marie. They don't have much experience, and Charlotte put on a hell of a match with Natalya on NXT. Was it just 6 weeks ago? Tremendous match on NXT.
You talking about TakeOver?
No, it wasn't TakeOver. It was I think it was the second big event that they did with NXT. What was that one? I don't remember what it was called, but it was the vacated NXT Divas Championship match when Paige won the women's Diva matchup on the main roster, gave her NXT title up, had the little tournament, and it ended up being Natty and Charlotte, and they tore it up, man. They tore up the match. Go to the network and check that out, because I think that was that. It wasn't the first NXT special. It was the second NXT special show, and I'm blanking on. And if anybody on the Twitterverse can tweet me at Evil Genius Titus and remind us what that show was, because it was
TakeOver.
Was it TakeOver? Okay, that's what it was then. Yeah, it was a tremendous match. It showed that Charlotte has, she's got Ric Flair DNA. So, she showed that the DNA is pretty strong in her. She really did a great job. It was a great match, and I think she's ready to come up to the main roster at some point.
Awesome. What else had happened tonight?
I gotta tell you, I think WWE did a tremendous job doing something that they've not been able to do, and they got people. You didn't get a whole lot of Cena sucks tonight. A tremendous promo from John Cena. Lots of passion, lots of energy. I love it when somebody says, "I want to," "I'm passionate to," "I'm going to," and these are the reasons why. Just a very passionate. The thing about Cena that you have to respect, whether you like him or not, is he embraces those that boo him. Tonight he did a tremendous job of playing that Portland crowd. He had them doing what he wanted them to do when he wanted them to do it. it's just a great promo. Really set up the passion of what he is going to do and how he's going to do it at SummerSlam. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Called out Lesnar. Lesnar did not answer the call out. And of course, Cena debuted his Hulkamania red and yellow gear tonight. So,
really, I thought
for
he
those
was
that want
paying homage to the Flash.
Well, he needed a new color to the bowl of Fruity Pebbles, and it's been a few years since we've had red. So, he got to make that Fruity Pebble money, man.
Yeah, I respect that.
Hey, Dwayne Johnson is all to blame for that.
Right.
We had a really pretty decent match between Dolph Ziggler and Heath Slater. I'm sure the internet wrestling community kind of had a matchgasm. Two very popular guys going against each other. Slater gets the victory. Miz was out ringside selling the Hollywood Miz gimmick. I think pretty well. Distracted Ziggler. Ziggler gets pinned, and now Slater is 2 in a row. Beats Ziggler, beats Seth Rollins, and he's on a streak. So Slater's looking pretty good right now. So it was a good match. Sets up that Ziggler and Miz Intercontinental title matchup. And then, of course, we rehashed the main event. We rehashed the night after WrestleMania 30, or is it 29? Right, WrestleMania 29, excuse me. Sheamus versus Orton. That, magical night in New York where the crowd was chanting everybody in the... I think they chanted Lee at one point for you, Lee. They were chanting everybody's name that night after WrestleMania during the Sheamus-Orton matchup. Not a bad match for these two. I didn't have... Maybe it's because I didn't have very big expectations. But Orton hit a pretty cool RKO on Sheamus coming off the top rope, which you don't see Sheamus come off the top rope too often. But nice to RKO, gets the pinfall victory, and that was the main event. Pretty decent. And then, of course, we go to the big plug for the last week, the Hulk Hogan birthday party, hosted by yours favorite guy, Mean Gene Okerlund. Who else better to host a Hulk Hogan party than... Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I'm an old school Hulkamaniac. It was 87, January of 1987. Went to my very first wrestling show in Denver, Colorado, Mid-Nickel Sports Arena, and saw Hulk Hogan take on Kamala. I think the match was all of 10 minutes. He posed for what seemed like 2 hours. And I was hooked. And I'm here today, some near 30 years later, still talking wrestling. So it was really kind of cool to see him come out. Vince McMahon tweeted earlier in the, before the show, it's, nice to have Babe Ruth in the house. It was pretty cool to see Hogan out there. Everyone, all the roster out on the stage. Again, Eva Marie, center front. I don't think she knew who was even out there. Hulk who? I mean, what the hell is Eva Marie doing in the very front of everything? But great. One thing that WWE does so well is video montage packages. A great montage package on Hulk Hogan. A great retrospective of who he is, where he came from, what he has done, minus the TNA years, which we need to forget about anyways. It was a great package, and you actually saw Hogan he looked a little, emotional, and a little worked up on it. It was a great video package. Then you had a line of people come out. Ric Flair came out. Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, who looked, as they said on the show, that looked like Wyatt Earp. Orndorff looks a little different than he did back in his Mr. Wonderful years. Mr. Wonderful got 3 kisses from 3 different divas. You got to give him some credit, man. He can get that love.
He looks terrible as hell.
I know.
I mean, I heard over the years, hey, have you seen Mr. Wonderful? And I'm like, oh, go get, whatever, you're, yeah, because I haven't had a chance to like see him at an autograph signing yet, and this was actually my first time taking a look at him, and I'm like, as soon as I see this guy come out, I'm
Looks
like,
like Zeb Coulter.
yeah, I'm like, okay, who's the Yosemite Sam Jr. looking guy? Where's Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff? And then I hear the commentators, and I'm like, wait, this is him? It's like, what the hell? I know he's been battling some health problems over the years,
Yeah.
but the robe thing, I just thought that was overkill. It was like, did he really need to come out with the robe? Because it just made him look like a moron, And I don't know, maybe he didn't care, but it just made him look really, uh, really weird, man.
It was a little odd. I mean, it's hard to see the Mr. Wonderful classic robe, but then look like Zeb Coulter.
Yeah.
It's hard, but
That would almost be like Michael P.S. Hayes coming out the way he looks now, and he has a robe on, and he has skin tight spandex, and
singing
he's coming
Bad
out.
Street,
Yeah, yeah,
USA.
the line of
Yeah, yeah, but based upon who he is, I'm going to give him a pass because he's, for crying out loud, he's Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. And then, of course, you had Hot Rod. How do you not have Roddy Piper come out celebrating, Hulk Hogan's birthday?
Looks good. Looks good.
It looked thin, looked thinner than he'd been in a few years. Looked good. And it was JBL had a great comment. He and Hogan started it all. I mean, if you really go back, and if you're a wrestling historian, you go back to the Rock and Wrestling. That led to them battling on MTV, which was a big deal for professional wrestling, and that was an easy stretch to WrestleMania. And WrestleMania 1 doesn't come off without Hot Rod and Hulk Hogan, and without those two, we don't have WrestleMania 30. So it was a great line by JBL, and the last people to come out, and I marked out like a little boy. I want to be real. When Hall and Nash walked out and the music hit, all the internet rumors from the last week were true that it was an NWO reunion. It was pretty cool to see, Hall and Nash and Hogan together in the ring. Scott Hall, I got wrapped up, forgot all about the conversation from last week in the alleged diss of a child. I got wrapped up in the survey time. It was pretty cool. Hogan tearing off the red and yellow, displaying the black and white NWO T-shirt. It was all awesome. And then it got interrupted by Brock Lesnar.
Which we called last week. Yours truly.
Yours truly called that. You're right. You did. And the great thing about doing that is we don't forget the reason that we're watching. We're watching not for Hulk Hogan's birthday party. We're watching for the main event and the pay-per-views coming up. And Brock comes out. He stares down the entire. The only one that didn't look that concerned was Nash. I think Nash posted some tweets. Did you see these tweets of Nash and this workout program he's looking like? Holy crap! Kevin Nash is sporting a six-pack. He is thick. He is in tremendous shape. He could make if it wasn't for his bad wheels, he could make a run for the WWE title right now. He didn't look impressed by Brock Lesnar. I was looking forward to a Kevin Nash-Brock Lesnar match. Lesnar's intimidating everybody. You seeing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Kevin Nash is. I gotta find out what he's doing because yours truly needs to emulate that. Because anyways, Lesnar bumps Roddy Piper. And I thought Piper was gonna go, Piper on him. Great intimidation. Gets in Hogan's face. Party's over, Grandpa. Just a great Brock very much. When you do it right, that was a perfect thing. Really, set up him as, he said earlier, this is my house. Cena comes out. Cena strips off the T-shirt, strips off of the wristbands, the hat. I'm here to fight. I'm gonna turn, as he said in his promo earlier in the night. And as I said 4 weeks ago, we don't have these two touch until SummerSlam. They did not touch tonight. A classic. And JR, if I don't take it from me, take it from Jim Ross. He had tweeted afterwards, and it is a classic wrestling storyline. The heel looks at the face, gives him that smile like, I know something that you don't know. I don't do this until I'm paid. I don't need, and bowed out and looked strong but didn't get into a fight. We held off. These two didn't touch, and they won't touch until the bell rings at SummerSlam, which is what I thought should happen and did happen. But ended the night very, very well, pushed that match a little bit better, and something happened tonight, Lee, though then booed 4 weeks ago when it was made.
All right.
They've really pushed him as this heel. They've made Cena a sympathetic face, and tonight was the icing on the cake when you have Brock Lesnar threatening, everyone's hero, Hulk Hogan or Roddy Piper or whoever the hero is, really made him off as a really dirty heel, the really bad guy who's everything Cena shot on him a little bit. It was a perfect ending to a decent Raw. Great ending. Really pushed me to want to watch the pay-per-view. And I can watch the pay-per-view, Lee, on the WWE Network for only $9.99 a month.
I'm sorry. Say that again. For how much?
$9.99 a month.
My God, that's a damn good deal, man. Woo! I hope you guys are getting on top of that. We actually put the tweet out in the comment section below of Kevin Nash's new body. He is 55 years of age. I just verified it. 55 years of age, and he has the body of like a 20-year-old. It's whatever he's doing. It damn sure ain't DDP yoga.
It damn sure isn't DDP yoga.
It ain't DDP
it's
yoga.
Amazing what he's done. He had a Q&A over the weekend, and they're talking to him about Roman Reigns and if he could do one match, have a match with Roman Reigns, and he said, I like walking too much. Kevin Nash is done. He's retired. He's not going to have that one more match type of scenario. Kevin is notoriously been known as a cheapskate. Him and Stone Cold have talked about that quite extensively. He saved a lot of his money. And remember, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were getting paid in especially in their early years in WCW. There was a term, and I'm going to blow it, favored nations. Kevin was talking about this on the WWE Network, which you can get for only he was talking about the favored nation status that Scott Hall had. Scott Hall gets signed first. He gets favored nations, which means if anybody is given a contract bigger, then he automatically gets matching dollars. Mm-hmm. So Scott Hall gets on there, gets a big contract. Kevin was a bigger star, got a bigger contract. Scott didn't got favored nations, got bumped up. And Scott and Kevin made a lot of money. He saved it. He's not going to be coming back, but he looks like he could because he looks better than he's ever looked ever.
Shoot.
He looked like that in 1998, man. It would have been a different WCW.
Let Vince McMahon get a couple of those pictures. God damn it. Big sexy. Come on back here.
Oh, man. So that was Raw. That's our overview. They sent us to the WWE app to watch the rest of the Hulk Hogan birthday party. Of course, I didn't do that. I came here to join Lee Sanders on the RCWR Show, and I'm probably happy I did because they, if you read any of the tweets, they brought out a birthday cake, Heath Slater and Titus O'Neil, and it, of course, said $9.99 on the birthday cake for Hulk Hogan's birthday.
Lord.
But yeah, a good Raw. Nothing to be super excited about. Nice ending. Pushed that SummerSlam main event really well.
Hey,
speaking of SummerSlam,
to your knowledge, did Vince McMahon at least come out exclusively on the app there?
Didn't see anything, but I have to imagine he would. That's been his MO.
Yeah, I'm hoping he did. That would have been a badass spot.
I'm hoping that they replay it on the network so we can go back and see it after.
Yeah. And we were referencing Paul Heyman earlier and his promo work and all that. We just got to make sure we show him some love. From what I understand from those that commented on our DVD review of it, Titus, it's like now very hard to find his Ladies and Gentlemen, My Name is Paul Heyman DVD. A lot of people are saying they now have to go online to try to get a hold of that. I tried to tell you guys that if you're still looking for copies, good luck to you, because it's, last I heard, FYE has like a bunch of standard, but if you got Blu-ray, you're going to have to go online, unfortunately. And
what does that say about the talent that is Paul Heyman? Because,
yeah,
it wasn't but 3-4 years ago, ain't no chance in hell there's going to be a DVD, let alone he's ever going to be back in WWE. Right. And not only does he have a DVD, not only does he have a top-selling DVD, not only has he been associated with, CM Punk and Brock Lesnar and the ending of the streak, he has restored the manager, which is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So, it's awesome. Kudos to Paul Heyman. He actually had a really interesting, he was asked recently about all the ECW, and he was kind of, I love what we've done, but move on.
Yeah.
It's pretty terrible that the company, it was shot TNA, pushing their brand, they pushed his brand from 20 years ago. And right there, in a nutshell, is what's wrong with TNA. From Paul Heyman, not from Titus Machiavelli, from Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman himself. Yeah, it was a great read too. You guys need to go out of your way to find that, because I don't think he did it on a radio show. I think he did it like through a newspaper or major website
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. While we're talking about Paul Heyman, and we kind of were referencing Brock Lesnar, I got some fun trivia for you guys. You do realize that with Hulk Hogan and Brock Lesnar finally sharing the ring, being in the same place at the same time in the middle of that ring tonight, that basically had marked, and Titus, you correct me if I'm wrong here, that marked like the first time in over 10 years that the two of those guys were in the same spot, because the last time those two guys had hooked up, it was on an episode of SmackDown. I still remember to this day, because I just remember saying to myself, this should have been a pay-per-view match. It was Brock Lesnar versus Hulk Hogan. At this point, Hulk Hogan was very frustrated with his current run in the company. He was also dealing with some injuries, and he decided that he needed to take some time off, recharge his batteries a bit. And they had Hulk Hogan lose. Now, here's what was very significant about this. Titus, let's see if you remember. It wasn't just the way that Hulk Hogan lost, but the execution of it. He lost via submission. And the way that they hyped it up, it was, this is only the second time in Hulk Hogan's illustrious career that he's lost via submission. Fun trivia to those of you who can remember who was the first person that made him tap out. But I remember shortly after that, Hogan had went away for a little bit. He came back to do a rematch against The Rock at No Way Out. Eventually, we saw him do the whole Mr. America thing and all that. But Titus, how's my memory there? Are you kind of remembering that? Is this?
I think that's yeah. It's that would be as far as I can remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great stuff right there, man. If you guys don't know anything about Brock Lesnar taking on Hulk Hogan, you can probably see it on the WWE Network for just $9.99.
You know,
But
I love the whole ending tonight because he's 61 years old,
yeah,
and we've debated him having one more match or not, and there's been those rumors, and um, physically I don't know if he could get through it. Mentally, any day of the week he could outperform any guy in the ring mentally. He got it tonight. You could see it in his eye. He sold so well. It was just you could just it is all in his face. It was great. Piper, same thing. You look at Piper and how he, when you just have it, you've got it, and it's got to be frustrating for guys like that to have all that knowledge and ability, but the body eventually, you know, it gives way. I would love to see Hogan do one more match. I'd love to see him and John Cena. That's the only one I want to see. I don't really think there's anybody else that we need to see Hulk Hogan against. He's done
no,
Triple H. There's nobody else to do.
no.
Undertaker. We've seen that, but there was no Sting tonight. A lot of talk that Sting was going to break up the NWO reunion. It would have been sad if that was what it was, because if Sting's making a return for his one grandiose goodbye go home match, it should be about him and not about Hulk Hogan's birthday.
Do you kind of feel, I gotta play a little mischievous here for a little bit? Do you feel that WWE might have said to themselves, okay, look, we might be in Portland, Oregon, and we're a little bit away from Hulk Hogan and where he resides, which I think is in Florida. But do you kind of feel that maybe they were just looking at what all had came about with the Ultimate Warrior, and the powers that be, it just made them have a little bit of nostalgia mixed with great appreciation, and basically say, you know what, let's really learn from what happened with Warrior, and let's really make sure we let those that helped our company out help put it on the map to where it is.
Hey there, Lee. Lee Sanders. I think I lost you.
All right, let's try that again. Let's see. Mic check 1 2 3. Mic check 1 2 3. Let's see here. Try it one more time here. Can you guys hear me? There we go. We got it back. All right. I'm wondering what the hell is going on here. I can now see myself. Titus, come on back, buddy. All right. Do not adjust your sets, folks. We are back. We're live. I don't know what the hell that was. My internet connection was fine. I never lost it over here. Let me just pull up some cool little graphics here real quick. And we'll see what we can do here. Bear with me, folks. We're going to try to see if we can get Titus back here. Okay, that looks good. And let's see if we can get Titus back. Let's see, try the link again. Okay. All right. Boy, I tell you, anything can happen when it's live, folks. So you got to have a little bit of patience with us when it comes to this stuff sometimes. Very weird what had happened here. We're going to try to see if we can get Titus back. If we can't get Titus back, then we're going to go on ahead and just finish out the rest of this show. Because, honestly, if we can't get Titus, that's good for us because YouTube's kind of acting a little funky right now. Some of you guys had gave us a heads up throughout the show that there was a little bit of problems going on there. Let's see if Titus wants to come on back. Not allowed to join the video. Oh, boo. Titus said he can't join. All right. Titus cannot join. All right. Well, if that's the case, if Titus can't join, because the only thing that we were going to go on ahead and talk about was the first 4 matches for SummerSlam. I definitely had wanted to get his take. But I guess at this point, since he can't get back in, we're just going to go on ahead and end the show. What we can do for you guys, though, we're definitely going to talk about the SummerSlam card. I'm going to try to see if maybe I might be able to get with Titus maybe tomorrow or Wednesday and get his thoughts on the first 4 matches for the SummerSlam card, and then maybe we can try to see if we can have that be an exclusive here on YouTube and also on Titus' website over at TitusMachiavelli.com. Make sure you show him some love and check that out when you guys get a chance. It's a really awesome website. He's always posting some really great polls, and he speaks his mind. He does a few blogs on there, some really good stuff. Check it out when you guys get a chance. I would normally like to say to you guys, if you enjoy what we did, give us a thumbs up, but it probably did not meet some of you all standards tonight because of the problems that was going on. So if you want to give this a thumbs up, that's on you. I definitely appreciate that. Of course, you're more than welcome to share this. Before we let you guys go, I definitely want to get to you all's comments. I am watching how you are seeing our stream right now via YouTube. Looks to be okay right now. Let's at least go through some of you all's comments and see what you had to say with regards to tonight's WWE Raw. Read some random comments here. And let's see. Bear with me a second here, guys. Pull up these comments. Because I just love, it's not a RCWR show if we don't get to you guys' comments and see what y'all had to say about Raw tonight. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to take it from the newest to the oldest, and away we go. Let's see here. Titus, Google Hangout won't let me join the video call. Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that. That is weird, buddy. Let's see. What else we got here? Eric. Sadly, I think respect is a dying prospect in this world, and frankly, I blame the internet. That being said, I have a little question for Titus. We're going to have to get to that question next week. I can't read it any further because Titus isn't here. B for Sutherland, holy crap, Nash Tista. Yeah, he is ripped, man. He is ripped. Lee and Titus, hope all is well. I'm not a Cena hater, nor am I a Cena mark, but I dug his promo. I can't take away that dude's love for wrestling. Heyman, of course, was awesome. I had a blast seeing Orndorff, Piper, Flair, and NWO in the ring. Is it me, or did Eva Marie look like Starfire from Teen Titans? Yeah, I kind of picked that vibe up a little bit. Also, I was watching Escape from LA. Don't ask. But I realized that Seth Rollins' costume is exactly like Snake's. Take care, guys. Great show, as always. I appreciate that. Did anybody notice the heat between Paul and Hogan? That comes from That Gamer. Yeah, I do recall checking that out. I thought that was kind of hilarious. Hogan just had this weird vibe on his face, like, what the hell is this person doing here? They didn't tell me about this. He just kind of looked a little bit surprised and was just like having a gazillion thoughts going in his mind, like trying to figure out what's the right type of emotion he needed to have. Very weird. Just the facial expressions that he was making as some of the people were coming out. I did notice that as well, though. Let's see what else we got here. Gamer, I think you had a question about Kane as well. I actually want to dive into that with Titus, so we'll probably get to that next Monday, buddy, because you had a very good question. You also had a very good question about Eddie Guerrero. I definitely want to address that next Monday. See what else we got here. I'm like blazing through a lot of you guys' comments. You guys aren't posting anything bad. It's just I don't really see anything to really talk about, except Weston. Weston brings up a good question. Here's a question for everyone. If Brock loses to John Cena at SummerSlam, does that also affect his UFC value as well? If we're really going to go to that question, then wouldn't every single match that Brock Lesnar has participated in since he's been back with the WWE count towards his value to the UFC? I mean, if we're being technical, let's be honest. When it's all said and done, this is sports entertainment. These are matches that have already been predetermined. It's just basically stuntmen, and again, don't try this at home, that are going out there and they're trying to put on a really good match to entertain you all for your pleasure, for your money and all that. That being said, the UFC, yeah, to a certain extent, there's a little bit of, how can I put it? There's a little bit of writing maybe that's possibly involved. There's a little bit of smart booking that goes in there, but once those two guys get into that octagon, that's it. Somebody is legitimately going to get their ass beat. And that's the truth. Legs are either going to be broken or arms. Somebody's going to get knocked out or worse. It's the beautiful thing I love about the UFC. But no, it's funny that you bring that up too, because Paul Heyman had recently said in an interview that as far as his client Brock Lesnar goes, with a return to the UFC, basically Brock Lesnar really loves the deal that he has going on with World Wrestling Entertainment right now, and UFC is like so not on his mind right now. He's not thinking about it one little bit. When Brock Lesnar feels that maybe he's burned things out with the WWE, that it's time to move on, then he'll move on. If that's going back to the UFC, who knows? But Paul Heyman did go on record and say that Brock Lesnar, he really loves what he's doing with the WWE right now. I mean, who wouldn't love that? You just basically come in and work like 3 to 5 major pay-per-views a year and a couple of Raw shows, maybe a SmackDown here and there, and You get your money and you roll the hell out. You're not seen again for a few. Who wouldn't want that deal? That's like the American dream right there. See what else we got here. James Gill. Yeah, I want to give this show a 2 out of 10. There was not so much wrestling and too much talking. For Alberto Del Rio, take a break and wait this out. Yeah. Scott Awesome. Hey, you guys see how JBL and Michael Cole was making fun of The Miz on commentary and turning his mic off? Do you think that was a shoot or a part of the show? You can see them laughing too. Could have been a shoot. You never know. You never know. Read about 2 more comments, then we'll wrap this up here. If I haven't gotten to you all's comments, have no fear. I usually respond to everybody personally the next day. So just kick on back and keep cool, my babies. Let's see. Reggie. I haven't seen Reggie in a while. Epic promo by Bray Wyatt. The crowd was so captivated by what he was saying. They were, weren't they? They were very silent. Heath Slater won 2 matches in a row. Is this for real? Is this real life? Loving the build-up for Lesnar and Cena. Yeah. And the homeless dragons, just because your name is really freaking cool. WWE the show hasn't even finished yet, and so far I give this show 3 out of 10 at best. End segment with Hogan, better do something. Homeless Dragons, I'd like to know if it had lived up to your expectations there with that final segment with Hogan, Lesnar, Cena, and all the legends. Let me know. And that is going to do it. I'm bummed that we were not able to go over these questions as far as, not questions, but I'm a little bummed that we weren't able to talk about SummerSlam. But it's all good. It's all good. All right, Titus, get yourself some rest, man. I'll definitely hit you up when this show is over. We'll try to figure out how we can avoid little glitches like what had went down. I don't think it's anything that you or I did at our respected ends. I think it was just probably a Google or YouTube problem. So that is going to do it. All right, so Tuesday night, we got the RCWR Show. It's our radio edition. Make sure you join me at 10 p.m. Eastern, as we are going to definitely take a look at the SummerSlam card. Hopefully we'll be able to get the first half of the card out the way with Titus. So, Titus, if you're still watching, buddy, definitely hit me up with a message. Let me know if you might be able to talk about the SummerSlam card, or at least half of it, for a couple of minutes this week. And we'll also hook you guys up with the very latest in entertainment headlines and beyond, get you guys caught up to speed on the very latest that we know about Robin Williams. The beautiful and the lovely Tammy also had heard about the news of Robin Williams. And voluntarily she said to me, you know what, we both grew up on Robin Williams. We should really do a special in honor of this man. Do you maybe want to do something this weekend, even though you said you weren't going to do a weekend edition? And I said, you know, that's a damn good idea. So originally we were not going to do a weekend edition, but we are, so make sure you mark that down on your calendar, as that is strictly just going to be a Robin Williams piece. You'll be able to catch that Saturday, August 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern. It'll be a Robin Williams special. Fans, you are encouraged to join us on that episode. You can share some of your memories and all that. We'll let you know how you can interact with us during that live special. And one more thing I want to say to you guys. I love it when we get links from people that are so hungry and so passionate, and you know, they say to us, look at me, can you watch my video, and can you watch this? And you know, understand, and Titus will probably say the same thing, but I'm not going to speak for him. I can only speak for myself. I really do not have that much of a personal life because of the amount of shows I do for you guys during the week. And the last thing I want to do is kick back and look at videos that's even related to wrestling and some other stuff, because a little bit of free time I have, I actually like to spend it by myself, with my family, close friends, and not even thinking about wrestling. Because for me, I find that if you just stay flooded up to here in the wrestling, you can actually get burned out, believe it or not. Some people I know who were into wrestling like 24/7, I actually even had saw them get burned out from always, wrestling, 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 wrestling. I appreciate it if you check out our content, but I can't stress it enough. If you're gonna ask me if I can check out your video and all that, 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna be able to check it out. That's nothing personal. I'm not being a dick. Just respect the fact that my time is really limited. Like right now, I've got to do some remixing. I'm probably going to be up until maybe 4 in the morning. I've got to get up at least by 8 so I can get ready to go to work and be ready to go no later than 10. So sleep for me is very important. At least I try to make it be important. But that's going to do enough about my bitching over here. I'm not really bitching. I'm just being for real with you guys. That's going to do it. I'm shutting this bad boy down. Make sure you check out the breaking news that we did on Robin Williams. I definitely would like to get you all's thoughts on what was some of you all's fondest memories of the comedian slash actor. And we'll definitely follow up on what y'all have to say on our radio edition this Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. For all the very latest, Be Kind Rewind, we got episodes for you all to check out. All the links in the episode description. For Titus Machiavelli, hopefully we will have him back next week. That's it. Black Avenger Lee Sanders wishing all you to be safe and be kind to one another. We'll see you next go round, everybody. Take care.